I didn't meet love under chandeliers or in a room with my last name on the wall. I met it behind a tin roof house where a girl stood barefoot at a wash basin, humming an old hymn. And when she looked up at me like I wasn't dangerous, something in my chest finally let go. My name is Connor Hale. People like to say I'm the kind of rich that makes other rich people whisper, but here's the part they never print. Silence is expensive, and it follows you through a 40-room museum you keep calling home until you admit you're the only exhibit in there. I was tired of being a prop at my own table. Dates who opened with prenups before the bread arrived. Selfies where I was a tripod with the pulse gifts turned into content with a price tag in the caption. Yeah, that happened. So one night I took the most normal car I own, still a lie but less loud, and I drove south with no plan except this stubborn idea that somewhere the air might feel honest. Hawthorne Ridge. Georgia wasn't a destination, it was a mercy. One streetlight, two churches, a diner called Maggie's Table with coffee in chipped mugs, and a waitress who called me sweetheart before I knew if I deserved it. A motor court motel where the sheets smelled like soap and not branding. And the next morning I walked past sycamores and porch swings until I saw her back of a small white house, sunlight catching her hair like a secret. She squinted at my city shoes and said, "You look lost," and I said, "Yeah, I am," and she laughed softly. Like that was the right answer, handed me a mason jar of sweet tea, told me her name, Layla Brooks, and that her grandmother, Miss Thelma, would feed me like I built the house if I minded my manners. We sat on those steps while the day dragged its heels, and instead of asking about net worth or last names on buildings, she asked what I read, who I had left, what actually made me happy. And you know what I mean? When I say I didn't have a clean answer, just a tired one. I don't know. That porch became a kind of confession booth with a better view, mornings at Maggie's, where Mr. Polk argued baseball like the Supreme Court afternoons at Pritchard's Grocery, where the door chime tattled on everybody evenings, where Miss Thelma rocked and told us how you carry dignity like a candle, close but not hidden, and Layla stitched worn quilts with these tiny, careful knots that made me realize I'd never fixed anything in my life that couldn't be replaced with a card swipe. I fell in love in the slow way that sticks. Creek walks where she named birds by their songs, her laugh that didn't ask for permission, the way she worked 2 jobs without making martyrdom a personality, the way she listened until my shoulders remembered how to drop, and I started to feel softer, like maybe I was supposed to be here. Fear, though. Fear is a slick lawyer. It makes terrible ideas sound responsible. And mine said, "Don't tell her yet. If she knows who you are, you'll wreck the only real thing you've got." So I did small things and told myself it was kindness I paid. Miss Thelma's heart meds anonymously slipped extra into the grocery, till and told Mr. Pritchard it was a vendor rebate, fixed the rotten step at dawn, and left the hammer like a calling card I hoped nobody would read. And for 2 weeks we lived in the good quiet, the kind that heals, until Hawthorne Ridge did what small towns do. It noticed. 2 guys at the diner stretched a cup of coffee through a morning and passed a phone back and forth. "That plate's a Hale plate. Money like water herd. He's paying bills, don't smell right." And by sunset, the rumor had grown legs. So when I climbed the Brooks porch, I found Layla on the steps with a full jar and an empty smile. "So should I call you Connor or Mr. Hale?" And just like that, my name didn't fit my face. "Let me explain," I said, and she kept her voice in that low place where disappointment hits harder than yelling. "Explain what, that you've been lying by omission, or that you turned me and my grandma into a charity you could win at." I said I love you, and it wasn't strategy. It just fell out like a truth that got tired of waiting, and the screen door creaked, and Miss Thelma said, "Baby, let him talk, then listen to your own heart after." so I told them everything. The fortress I built around a scared kid. The rooms that made me smaller. How the first breath that didn't taste like dust was on their steps. And the real fear that if Layla knew the number next to my name, she'd see a bank before she saw me. She wrapped her arms around herself like she was holding something delicate. I'm not mad at your money, I'm hurt by your doubt. You doubted me before I could prove you wrong. I need time, and those 2 words emptied me faster than any breakup ever did. I walked into the dark until the road and sky were one ribbon. Every voice from my old life screaming, "Go home, post a cryptic quote, let the internet call it self-care," and then Miss Thelma's candle line showed up again. Hold it close, don't hide it. And I realized hiding isn't the same thing as protecting. It's just fear with better manners. Next morning I showed up and didn't bring flowers. I brought a decision. I'm staying, not to play pioneer in a farmhouse and post about rustic courage, but to build a life where the ground remembers my name. I bought the Baxter place, I'm fixing it up, and I'm setting up a scholarship for county kids. Because talent isn't zip code exclusive. You run it. I'll fund it and keep quiet. And she half smiled like maybe she believed me for a second. Words are sweet tea, Connor. What are your steps? And I listed them, and then I started walking them. Not everyone applauded. Antagonists don't wear signs, they wear smiles, mister. Pritchard cornered Layla by the tomatoes. Careful, honey, rich men have seasons. And Layla tied the bag and said, I'm not a season. I'm a climate. I pick my own weather. And then Mara, the ex who could turn any room into a camera, breezed into Maggie's with runway sunglasses and said, Connor, how compelling the common people you with a pitchfork is going to crush online. And Layla didn't blink. Ma'am, we don't film folks here like they're scenery. If you need attention, the city's got you. If you're here, be here, and Mara said, cute. I give it 3 months, you'll miss the leather seats. And I said maybe, but I won't miss you. And the whole diner exhaled like a prayer that finally got permission. A different kind of enemy showed up at the office park. Layla cleaned at night. The manager, Rick, said, kids like that don't need college. They need to learn their place, and I stepped forward like a storm. And Layla's hand on my arm was a lighthouse. I got this. Rick, my place is wherever God gives me feet, and right now my place is walking out. I don't scrub floors for men who wipe their mouths with hate. And in the parking lot, she shook a little and laughed a little and said, I just quit a job. I'm terrified. And I said, me too. Let's be scared together. We built the candle fund on that porch like a map. Miss Thelma named it because the right light changes how a whole room behaves. Kids showed up with applications that felt like prayers. The town suspicious at first started bringing bake sale money and T-shirts that said, your place is here, learn it, claim it. And the pushback got quieter, not gone, just bored. 6 months later, the Baxter place looked like a house again. I learned to patch drywall without a logo. Truck learned the difference between good work, tired, and soul tired. Saturdays, we ran workshops in the fellowship hall, under a water stain, shaped like a state. No one could agree on. Miss Thelma set out pound cake like communion, and we kept falling in love with Tuesdays where nothing happened except we remembered each other on purpose. I still owed Layla more than promises, so during the Corn Jubilee, I climbed onto a flatbed, asked Maggie for the mic, and said, my name is Connor, yes, that one. I came here running from a fortress. I mistook for a home I hid. Who I was because I was scared the woman I love would see a bank before me. I was wrong, Layla. I'm sorry. Town, I'm not buying a conscience, I'm trying to live one. And Rick hollered from the back about pet projects and zip codes, and Layla stepped up, took the mic, and said, we were a full life before he showed up, and we'll be a full life if he leaves. The Candle Fund isn't a pet project. It's a porch light. Step into the light, or step out of the way. and people didn't cheer so much as breathe together, which felt better. Our wedding looked like us. Choir shaking the beams at New Hope barbecue on paper plates. Someone's uncle DJing like Marvin Gaye could fix policy. Candle kids taking photos with Layla, like she was the first teacher who looked at them like a mirror and a window at the same time. And yeah, headlines still came. An op-ed asked if what we built was love or performance justice or branding, and it stung. Then it didn't. Because every morning I wake in a house only large enough for the life we're living, and the silence doesn't punch anymore. It listens. I drink coffee at Maggie's with men who ask about fence posts and scholarships. In the same breath, I watch Layla study for her degree, mouthing terms like a song she's learning to teach. I pull over when I see a candle kid pin a college acceptance letter to the church board, because joy sometimes hits like a reminder. Hey, you're alive. We're expanding the fund to the next county, and the school board chair, smile that never reaches his eyes, said, "We like what you're doing, as long as the recipients fit our image. You know the right kind of poor," and Layla squeezed my hand and said to the room, "We don't sort dignity by zip code or skin tone or how well someone makes you feel about your charity. The candle fund is for kids who carry a candle and just need a windbreak so it doesn't go out. And if that's controversial, maybe the controversy is the point. So let me ask you, is love still love? When it shows up with a checkbook, or do the checks make it suspect? Even when the receipts say, lives changed, does a man like me redeem anything, or just rewrite the story to keep the hero part? Do poor kids owe rich donors a performance of gratitude, or do they owe nobody anything except their future? Where do you draw the line between help and control, generosity and vanity, the right kind of poor and the truth that there is no right kind of anything? If this hit you, tell me where I got it right and where I'm still learning. Drop your story if you've ever been judged by your bank account or your accent or the shoes you wore into the wrong room, like the video, if you believe dignity doesn't need permission. Share it with someone who needs proof that love is choice plus action, and subscribe for more real stories told without the pretty lies.